Ever get that feeling? Like you're kind of stuck just saying yes, yes, yes. Like 1 minute you're just answering a simple question and boom, next thing you know, you're at some sales pitch. Totally blindsided.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to unpack that. We're diving deep into Never Split the Difference, this awesome book by Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator.
It's really good.
It's all about negotiation, but like the unexpected kind.
Right. You'd think FBI hostages, it's all about getting to that yes. But Voss,
Yeah.
he actually thinks no is way more powerful.
Really? You're saying no is better than yes in a negotiation.
It's about control, right? You say no, you create this like psychological safety net.
So I'm kind of setting the ground rules right off the bat.
Exactly. And Voss, he learned this the hard way.
Yeah.
He really wanted to be on the FBI's crisis negotiation team, but zero experience.
Yeah.
Like none.
Whoa. Okay, I can imagine those interviews were intense.
Oh, they were. So there he is, getting grilled by Amy Bondrow, head of the team. And every question she throws at him, experience, training.
He's going to be sweating bullets.
He just flat out says no. Nope, haven't done that. No training in that either.
No way. He just kept saying no.
Straight up. And here's the kicker. She loved it.
Seriously.
That honesty, that willingness to own his limits, it showed strength. And guess what?
What?
She took him on, gave him a shot.
Wow. That makes me rethink all those telemarketing calls.
No.
Suddenly feels a lot more powerful.
Right. Think about it. Telemarketers, they bank on yeses. Leading questions. You want to save for retirement, right? Clean air is good, yeah.
It's like they lull you into this yes trance, and then bam, you've agreed to something you never meant to.
Manipulation, plain and simple. Voss says mastering no is like essential for any good negotiation, whether it's hostages or haggling for a car.
This reminds me of Marty Evilsizer, one of the negotiators in the book. She was great at her job, but her supervisor felt threatened, tried to hold her back.
What'd she do?
She used no, declined bad assignments, pushed back politely, and it actually boosted her standing. Each no was strategic, like, I know what I'm worth.
There you go. It's not about being difficult. It's about like knowing your value and using no to guide the conversation.
This isn't just for hostage situations, is it? This feels applicable to, like, everyday life.
Absolutely.
But before we go deeper into those tactics, let's talk about something Voss calls tactical empathy.
Now, that sounds interesting.
Right.
FBI, hostages, empathy. Doesn't seem like the obvious combo.
Tactical empathy. Okay, I gotta admit, that sounds kind of like, I don't know.
An oxymoron?
Yeah, a little bit, right? I mean, FBI, hostage situations, empathy isn't exactly the first thing that comes to mind.
It does seem kind of backwards, but Voss, he's all about ditching that old aggressive style of negotiation.
Okay.
See, tactical empathy, it's not about like manipulating someone. It's about really getting them their fears, their needs, what makes them pick.
To kind of build that trust and figure out what's really going on.
Exactly. You uncover those hidden things, the stuff that can make or break the whole negotiation.
I'm intrigued. So it's less about, I don't know, playing on their emotions and more about using empathy to understand the bigger picture.
Exactly. And Voss has this story about his very first hostage situation. Bank robbery, standoff, the works, two armed guys, hostages, tension you could cut with a knife.
Intense.
Totally. Voss, he's brand new to the crisis negotiation team,
Yeah.
and he realizes quickly you can't just bully these guys into surrendering.
Right.
He has to get inside their heads, figure out what's driving them, what scares them, and that's where tactical empathy comes in.
Okay, so how did that actually play out in that situation?
Well, one of the robbers, Bobby, he was young, clearly terrified, didn't sign up for that level of crazy.
Yeah.
Voss, he picked up on that fear, acknowledged it, and used it to connect. Not condoning, but showing Bobby, hey, I see you, I hear you.
Powerful. So that connection, that's what led to Bobby giving up.
It was definitely a turning point.
Yeah.
But Voss doesn't just tell these stories. He lays out actual techniques, ways you can use tactical empathy yourself.
Okay, now we're talking. So what are these techniques? I need the inside scoop.
One of the simplest but crazy effective is called mirroring. Basically, you repeat back the last 1 to 3 words someone says.
Seriously. That's it. Just repeating their words back.
Sounds almost too easy, right? But it works. When you mirror someone, it's like this subconscious trigger, makes them want to explain more to keep talking.
So it's like this little nudge of encouragement. Like I'm saying, hey, keep going, I'm listening.
Bingo. And there's actually a study about this. Richard Wiseman, the psychologist, he had waiters try it with customers. Guess what?
What?
The waiters who mirrored, they got way bigger tips, like significantly bigger.
Always knew there was a reason I'm a good tipper. But okay, there's got to be more. Besides this mirroring thing, what other tactical empathy tools are in this arsenal?
Another good one, labeling. You acknowledge someone's emotions by actually giving the feeling a name.
Okay, so instead of just being like, calm down, I'd say something like, sounds like you're really frustrated right now.
You got it. See, by labeling the emotion, you show them you're not just hearing them, you're understanding them.
Which can really de-escalate things, especially when things are getting heated.
Exactly. Voss tells this story about one of his students. The student's dealing with a client, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the client is fuming, ready to walk away from this whole project.
Oh, no!
Big time. But instead of panicking, the student just says, it sounds like you're feeling really let down and disappointed right now.
No way! That worked.
Worked like a charm. Just by acknowledging the client's frustration, the whole dynamic shifted. They were able to talk it out, save the whole deal.
Okay, now I'm really seeing the value in this tactical empathy thing. Any other tools you can share?
One more, and this one's all about steering the conversation without forcing it. Calibrated questions, open-ended questions that start with how or what.
All right, I'm listening. How does that work? How do these calibrated questions change things?
So instead of telling someone what to do, which can totally backfire, you're subtly getting them to think about solutions themselves.
So it's like I'm saying, let's figure this out together without actually saying those words.
Exactly. You're giving them a sense of control even though you're guiding them in a certain direction.
Sneaky. So instead of saying, you need to lower your price, it'd be more like, how can we make this work with my budget?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
It's like you're planting the seed of a solution, but they feel like they came up with it.
I like it. And it works.
One of the most amazing examples is this story about an American tourist kidnapped in Ecuador.
Oh, no.
Yeah, scary situation. The kidnappers wanted this insane ransom, way more than the family could afford.
How did they even get out of that?
So the negotiator, working with the victim's wife, he coaches her on these calibrated questions. She keeps asking things like, how can we possibly come up with that much? Or how can we make this work for everyone?
So she didn't cave to their demands, but she kept the conversation going.
Yeah, and those questions, they forced the kidnappers to think differently. They had to face reality. They actually lowered the ransom by a lot. And the hostage went home safe.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. So we've got mirroring, labeling, and these calibrated questions. Seems like really useful stuff, even outside of, hostage situations. But what about those times when you're dealing with someone who just seems unreasonable, like truly irrational?
Oh, yeah. Things aren't always so clear-cut. And that's where Voss brings in this idea of black swans.
Black swans, huh? Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me. What are black swans and how do they fit into this whole negotiation thing?
Think of it like this. You're in a negotiation, right? And suddenly, boom, this piece of information pops up. Completely changes everything.
A game changer.
Exactly. That's a black swan. It's that thing you didn't even know you were missing, the unknown unknown. And it can totally derail you if you're not careful.
Okay, so how do we spot these black swans if they're, hidden? Do I need to develop some kind of sixth sense?
Less about ESP, more about really listening, actively listening. Look for things that don't quite add up.
Inconsistencies.
Yeah. And don't just write off behavior that seems, I don't know, a little off.
So someone's acting kind of crazy, don't just assume they're crazy.
Dig in a little deeper. Often, what seems irrational, it actually makes sense when you understand the why, the motivations, the missing pieces.
It's about challenging your own assumptions, right?
Yes.
Being open to the fact that you might not have the full picture.
100%. Voss, he tells this story, really chilling one, about a bank robbery hostage situation.
Oh, no.
So the negotiator, he's got his playbook, right? Money, escape route, getaway car. But he misses these huge red flags about the hostage taker, Griffin.
What happened?
Griffin, he'd already killed a bunch of people before even setting foot in the bank.
Oh, God.
But the negotiator, he's so focused on the standard script, he misses the signs. Griffin was suicidal, ready to go out in a blaze of glory.
That's awful. So how do we avoid that? How do we, like Voss says, spot the bomb before it blows?
Face to face whenever you can.
Really?
Big time. Tone of voice, body language, those little tells people have.
Yeah.
You miss that over the phone, email.
So much gets lost without that in-person connection.
Totally. And it's about always questioning the situation. New information comes up. Be ready to shift gears, rethink your whole approach. The minute you're married to your plan, you miss those black swans, the things that change everything.
It's about being flexible.
Right.
Rolling with the punches.
Exactly. Voss has this other story about a farmer drove his tractor into a pond in D.C., threatened to blow the whole thing
Oh,
up.
wait, what?
Yeah, wild, right? Everyone thought, oh, another angry protester. But Voss and his team, they take a different approach.
How'd they handle that?
They wanted to understand this farmer, his why. Turns out, he was passionate about tobacco farmers, their struggles, felt like this was the only way to be heard. Voss calls it their religion, those core beliefs that drive their actions.
So they had to find his religion, that was the black swan.
Exactly. They figured out what made him tick, spoke his language, and that's how they calmed things down.
These stories are incredible. I'm seeing how these concepts, they apply to more than just, extreme situations. But let's get practical. How do I use this stuff in, like, everyday negotiation? Buying a car, asking for a raise.
Voss talks a lot about using psychology to your advantage. Things like anchoring and loss aversion.
Okay, give me an example. How do those work?
Let's say you're buying a used car. Anchoring is about setting a starting point, right? Like if you want that car for, say, $10,000, but you throw out $8,000 as your first offer.
Bold move.
Right. You're setting that anchor. Now, the seller, even if they counter, they're working within that range you've set.
That's pretty slick. And what about loss aversion? How does that come into play?
People hate losing.
Yeah.
It's just human nature. So let's say you're negotiating that car price, you've dropped your anchor, now you use silence. Let that silence hang in the air.
Make them sweat a little?
Exactly. That fear of losing the sale, it kicks in. They're way more likely to budge on the price.
Interesting. So it's like a mental game as much as anything else. You're playing on those deep-seated psychological triggers.
You got it. And on top of that, Voss, he's big on figuring out the other person's negotiation style. Are they more go with the flow, super assertive, or really analytical?
So it's like tailoring your approach to the person, the situation, finding those black swans that unlock the whole thing.
That's the name of the game. It goes back to what we've been talking about. Be open, listen closely, and don't underestimate that power of no. Whether it's a high-stakes deal or just chatting with your family, it's about understanding, finding that common ground.
This has been eye-opening. Like, I actually feel equipped with new tools, not just for negotiation, but for, like, life. Never split the difference. Everyone needs to read this book.
Couldn't agree more. Total game changer.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the world of negotiation, FBI style. Until next time, keep asking those questions and keep diving deep.